From Great Resignation to Great Detachment. How the U.S. job market has slowed. Dan Evia has been laid off before, but this time feels different. Evia, 42, a marketing business development specialist based in the New York City area, has been out of work since the summer. In a recent LinkedIn post, he claimed he has filled out more than 1,000 job applications with nothing to show for it. If you had told me when I was laid off in June that I would appreciate 6 months without a job offer, I would laugh. Hooray for confidence, Sevilla wrote, but here it comes, and boy does this job market humble you on a regular basis. In an interview with NBC News, Sevilla said he holds out little hope for what the future brings for his career. I'm continuing to apply with shaking confidence, if not totally broken, he said. For many workers, the euphoria of the Great Resignation appeared following COVID-19 reopening that brought a massive reshuffling of jobs, and substantial wage gains has given way to a new, far more uncertain environment. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports this week that even as layoffs remain subdued and job openings increased in October, the hiring rate ticked down to a level not seen since the U.S. was emerging from the financial crisis of the late 2000s. At 4.2%, the unemployment rate remains historically low. For context, the unemployment rates never dropped below 5% in the 1970s or the 1980s. Yet, even as unemployment has fallen somewhat in recent months, it climbed substantially from its pandemic-era low of 3.4% in April 2023. On Friday, the Bureau of Labor Statistics released employment data for November. The number of payrolls added at 227,000 came in about or above forecast. However, the unemployment rates climbed to 4.2%, while the median duration of unemployment hit 10.5 weeks, the highest level since May 2017. Labor demands are slowing, wrote Seema Shah, Chief Global Statistics at Principal Assets Management Financial Group, in a note following the Friday release. And I am noting both the increasing unemployment rate and the lower than expected revisions of previous month's payroll data from the impact of strikes and hurricanes. There are cracks in the labor market, she added. In a recent interview, Guy Berger, chief economist at the Burning Glass Institute, labor market research group, said people who currently have jobs are unlikely to lose them, but there has rarely been a worse time in recent history to be looking for them. About arguments that it's a good job market, Berger said in a recent interview, but he added it is far from great. Hiring is too low. It's really hard to find a job. He continued, it's good that a lot of people are employed, but it's not obvious that we're on a good trajectory. Part of the problem appears to be a dramatic shift in the labor market back in favor of employers. Gallup poll released Tuesday found U.S. workers are seeking a new opportunity at the highest rate since 2015, as overall satisfaction with current employers has returned to a record low. In a write-up of the survey, Gallup analysts referred to the current period as the Great Detachment, noting that the widespread disruptive and organizational change in the wake of the pandemic have left workers feeling burned out. There are two key observations from the survey. One, fewer than half the workers Gallup survey reported knowing what's expected of them at work, and just 30% say they strongly agree that the mission or purpose of their companies make them feel their jobs are important. Both of those findings are record lows for the survey. Meanwhile, many managers are contending with a smaller budget, shifting personnel and new responsibilities, Gallup said. Across the U.S. workforce, people are becoming more disconnected from their employers on critical matrix. One of the survey's analysts, Ben Wigger, the director of the research and strategies at Gallup, said in the interview, Gallup's workplace metrics are similar to where they were in 2015, Wigger said, but the context is different. With the current job market cooling down quite a bit from the Great Resignation, and with inflation, people don't feel secure making the leap to new roles, really said. So they're stuck with the discontent. It's a very different situation. Voters consistently rank the U.S. economy as their top concern heading into the November presidential election. But neither Kamala Harris and Donald Trump offer economic visions that emphasize abundant job growth. Ultimately, voters punish the Biden-Harris administration for creating an uncertain economic environment as they hope for a return of the one that prevailed during Trump's first term. Though many voters believe business conditions are likely to improve as Trump moves back into the Oval Office amid promises of looser regulations, it isn't clear how much the labor market will improve from here. In its 2025 economic outlook, Wells Fargo economists say the unemployment rate is likely to stay at current levels while payroll growth slows. The completion of the pandemic, catch-up hiring in industries that have disproportionately driven payroll growth over the past year. Healthcare, government, and leisure and hospitality. A generally more muted economic growth backdrop due to tariffs. Still restricted monetary policies and a slower growth pool of workers are all likely to contribute to the more modest pace of job gains. The economist wrote, especially a slowing job market, the economic conditions that are still too tight for comfort means hiring is likely to keep intruding for a while longer. Not all economists agree that the U.S. labor market is experiencing unusual tensions, and where frictions do exist have, in certain cases, immediately identifiable causes. In a note last month surveying the state of the U.S. economy, analysts with Goldman Sachs said the immigration surge of the past 2 years was causing the unemployment rates to increase. With border apprehensions plummeting, job opportunities in many sectors should begin to ease, they say. Job openings are high and the layoff rate is low, the analyst wrote. While we have yet to see definite evidence of labor market stabilization trend, job growth appears to be strong enough to stabilize and eventually lower the unemployment rate now that immigration is slowing. In a recent note released Wednesday, Thomas Ryan, an analyst with the Capital Economics Research Group, said recent BLS data showed the labor market as finding a floor and stabilizing at a healthy level as firms remain slow to hire and fire. Yet a hiring boom like the one that occurred during the pandemic reopening may not emerge for some time, according to the analyst with Vanguard. Large employers are proceeding with caution in hiring new workers. They wrote in a recent report, in addition, hiring activities for lower income jobs continues to normalize from the height of the pandemic recovery. Improving labor productivity, in part from the gains in artificial intelligence, will remain strong in 2025. It is likely to result in fewer job cuts. The rate at which firms hire new workers will likely hold at its current modest level, the Vanguard analyst said. For workers like Javier, that may mean no timetable for an end to job search anxieties for now. He has sought consulting work as he continued to submit applications, though he has reduced his expectations for a position and salary at the senior level he held before. At this point, anything is better than nothing, he said.